You got me. You got me.
So one of the enemies of modern music is that clean, over crisp sound. And a great way to mess with that is to use the new Redux device, not so new anymore, in Ableton 11. There's a bunch of ways I'm going to show you how to use it in this video, so stay tuned. Just real quick, if you want some free stuff from myself and the EDMProd team, we got a bunch of free PDF samples and stuff in the description, so go check that out. Let's get into it. Now, if you're not in Ableton for this video, you can just find another free bit crusher online and hopefully do the same sort of thing. So let's briefly cover how Redux works. I've got this little beat here I'm going to use as an example.
You got me.
And I'm going to chuck it on our master. And what we've got here, let me just get rid of this spectrum analyzer, is we've got a few different controls. The main two, this rate and bits knob. The rate basically degrades the sample rate, which is going to make it sound really glitchy. You guys are probably recognizing that effect by now. And the bits kind of degrade the bit depth, which makes it a bit more distorted and loud because it's basically less levels of dynamics it can snap to. It's kind of like if you've used Photoshop before and it snaps to the edges. That's kind of the same vibe. And at 1, it's either on or off. And combining these two effects, you can get a bunch of cool results, right? But what Ableton Live 11 has done is introduce these really cool extra features, namely the jitter, shape, filter section, and a dry wet knob to kind of blend the effect to taste. Now, for lo-fi effects, I really love playing with this jitter and rate, as well as the filter, which I'll get into in a bit. The reason it sounds so good is basically because it kind of sounds like the old style downsampling units, which kind of like have like a vintage sound to them rather than just like digital kind of reduction, which I think is really cool. So adding this pre-filter, for example. See how a lot of that harsh high end is kind of tapered off? You could also exaggerate that even more with the post. Now it's like lo-fi house territory, right? It's kind of like if you put that at 10K, you could just chuck this on the final mix and call it a day. Take off the pre even. And you can change the slope here as well and a few other things, which is really cool. Make it a little more gentle or aggressive. And this slope octave control here basically offsets the cutoff of the filter based on the rate knob here. So if it was at 0, the filter will cut off at 8K. If it's 4, it'll kind of go like 4 times as high. So it'll be pretty bright. But if you go the opposite, kind of give it a muffled feel because the filter cutoff's way down now. And of course, you've got the shape control. This is kind of like, if I bring this up, you'll hear it a bit more. It adds a bit of noisiness to the signal. Kind of makes it more, I don't know, fine grainy. I don't really know how to describe it, but that's how it comes across to me. And lastly, you got a dry wet control. Great for introducing some of the original signal in, which is sick. So I'm just going to turn this off for now, and we're going to go over to our main vocal. And here is where I'm going to use what I like to call post-filtering for harmonic sounds, right? So if we listen to this vocal sample in isolation, it's got a bit of chorus and EQ on it, just boosting the, or getting rid of the low end there.
You got me.
Then with Redux on, I've got a bit depth of 4 here, so it's giving it quite a crunchy, compressed sound. Quite a low bit depth, 0 on the filter, but I got the pre-end post on with a bit of jitter. This jitter adds a bit of randomness to the filtering, which is sick, right? So you'll hear this as I crank it up. It just gives it this really like weird noisiness to it, which is sick. I kind of like to use just a bit for taste, but this filtering pre and post gives it this really gritty sound, right? All that brightness and like digital clarity is just gone. You got me. That sounds like it's directly sampled off some old record or something, which I think is sick. I love combining this also with the ethereal canon preset in Ableton's Echo. Just gives it this really nice kind of, old school analog echo feel, especially with the Redux. So you could put the echo before the Redux if you like. I'm going to use it after, and it gives it this nice kind of echo out.
You got me.
And if we put it before,
You got me.
you can hear that noise applies to the tail quite nicely there. So I think that's a really sick way just to dirty up your mix, especially with these like pristine vocal samples you find on Splice. I think it's really cool to do that too. Last thing you can do is also play around with these intervals on the filter.
You got me.
Between 1 and 2 kind of works well.
You got me.
And you could also like automate it, right? Like you could do this kind of thing.
You got me.
And then do some automation down on the next one. Something sick like that, like it works really well and in the full context. Really sick sounds there. Okay, if you enjoyed this little tutorial on Redux, let me know in the comments because I'll happily do much more sound design stuff like this. Also, if this is your thing, you can check out our Breakthrough Sound Design course, which I'll leave a link for in the description. It's basically designed to teach you those techniques and skills you need to know to transform those sounds in your head into the DAW. If you're wanting to make, these gritty type of sounds, now Redux is a tool in your toolkit that you can use at any time. That's the kind of stuff we're trying to teach you in Breakthrough Sound Design, so go check that out. But yeah, subscribe, stick around for more from the EDMProd team. Like it if you thought it was a good video so people can also see it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Have a great week. See you, everyone.